In today's video, we are continuing our build of the Empire Strikes Back AT-AT. And what we're going to start with today is assembling the main cabin of the Walker. And we're going to start off with just the roof, the sides, and the back. And this is just something where you're probably going to want to tape all the pieces together before you glue them, because there isn't really much to hold them until they're all glued together. All right, just some strategic tape right here to hold these three sides together. Then we're going to put the back on it. With those four pieces cemented securely, it's time to get our neck assembly. And this is the bulkhead that attaches to the main cabin. It's time to slot this in to our assembly. All right, and if you look at the inside of that assembly, you can see that there are a couple tabs. It almost forms a slot for this piece to fit into. And you want to make sure that's very secure because this is going to be kind of holding the entire weight of the neck. So here's a look at what's going to be the undercarriage for the Walker. Now I've gone ahead and glued together the parts for these main pistons or drive shafts. These are going to be mounted to the bottom of the Walker, and these parts are going to actually be screwed onto the main undercarriage. And once that's held in place by a screw, it'll look like this. And the leg will attach to this part up here. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these parts to the undercarriage, and then I'll screw on the next parts after that. I've gone ahead and sprayed a base coat of gray. I've also done a bit of salt chipping underneath it. You know, it's an all-terrain transport, so it's probably been crashing through forests and different planets and probably is pretty beat up. So I had a lot of kind of bare metal underneath my paint. Now it's just time to do the final assembly and add on the legs. Once you put the legs on, there's just this last plate that gets put on top to hold it on. And I'm going to try just friction fitting these, especially now that there's a layer of paint on each part. It should have plenty of friction. So I don't know if I quite have the art of getting this guy posed properly, but there we are, 4 articulated legs and an assembled Walker. The next step is going to be applying washes all over this to bring out some of the detail, to break up these big gray expanses of the armored transport. So we're going to start off with a dark gray wash on a large part of the details, especially kind of these areas that look like they're exposed mechanics. So right now you can see the wash has really brought out a lot of the accents. It's added a lot of shadow to a lot of these places that should be recessed. It kind of accented some of the panel lines and some details to the neck. We're still really in the messy stage here, so there'll be a lot that'll need to be cleaned up. But you can see it's really breaking up kind of the big piece of gray. But we're going to need to do more colors than just this dark gray that we're doing for the shadows. That's why the next one we're going to do is a rust color. And rather than kind of putting this one in the recesses, we're going to try and put this wash along a lot of these long straight lines to be kind of like rust going down the cracks or rust kind of collecting along the edges. We're just going to put it up high and let it drip down along that line. And we're going to put some right here on the bottom. And we'll wipe it off a little bit later, leaving it just along those ridges. All right, the rust wash is getting about halfway dry. So we're getting a Q-tip with a little bit thinner, and we're just going to start wiping it away. And I'm going to let the Q-tip get kind of dirty. And I'm just going to kind of keep streaking it to leave some streaks and color over all of these panels. All right, and my last step on the weathering is just going to be some dry chalk pastels to add some more streaks, add a little bit of grit and dirt, and hopefully tone down a little bit of the orange rust and bring us back into kind of some of the gray colors. Once all the weathering's done, it's time to put on the decals. Now, there's only one decal for the walker itself, and it's this red decal right here at the bottom, and that fits right on the front control deck for the walker. The rest of these decals are for the turrets, so these long segmented pieces fit on the main body of the turret, and the decals are for the snow speeders. So you get the orange stripes or gray stripes for the snow speeder, and decals for all of the windows. All right, so here's a look at those snow speeders and Rebel turrets. And, you know, they are pretty simple. They get the job done. They're snow speeders and turrets, and they're nice little additions to the kit. All right, so let's get a look at this completed Imperial Walker. And remember, these Star Wars models, they're really weather to taste. You know, streak it, weather it, beat it up as much as you want. I think maybe I've gone a little too far on this one, as I'm prone to do, but I love it. It gives it a lot of character. So here is one side. Here's the other side. And of course, the rear of the walker. Here you can see a lot of the streaking. You can see a lot of the salt chipping, revealing bare metal there. A little bit of rust along the front. Here's a good look at kind of the chipping and weathering along the legs. And a look at that menacing command deck with that nice red decal right along the front. Now, it sounds like a lot of the people on this channel built this kit years ago, that it was a real mainstay for a lot of the model builders. But this is my first time with the kit, and I absolutely love some of the things they've done. The spring-loaded neck, so these parts being held on entirely by spring, I thought that was really nice. So tilt it down, tilt it up, from side to side. I thought that was some really nice articulation and a pretty cool way to do it. You really do have quite a bit of movement. And all four legs on this model are articulated. I think on the original release, only 2 were articulated, but on this one, all 4 are. And it starts up here. This piece does move up and down. You have a great deal of range right at this first joint. And then the knee, you can get a little bit past straight, bent back about like this, and then a lot of articulation right here at the foot. So really, you've got a pretty good range of motion for this leg. And that lets you really pose it however you want with those 4 articulated legs. Now, it's not a toy, so you don't want to spend too much time rearranging things, but you should be able to get it into quite a few different poses. Really, my overall impression of this set is it's a lot more fun than you would expect, and I like it a lot more than I really should like a kit that's 40 years old. It really was a lot of fun just to take something that starts off entirely gray and weathered the heck out of it to bring out the details and give it some character and really make it look like a big, lumbering, menacing Imperial Walker. And I love the idea of the Walker. It's something that's just massive. You drop it down on a planet and it's just going to slowly walk its way over to you, crushing everything in front of it. I think that The Mandalorian really got this right. They had an AT-ST featured in that was just terrifying, and just one of these would really be very decisive in most battles. I love the idea that you get a couple snow speeders, you get a couple turrets, a great opportunity there to set up some dioramas. Yes, this is an older kit. The lines are raised, they're not recessed, but I really found it didn't detract much from the model, especially when you get just probably about a foot away. You just see the panel lines, you see the detail, and it looks good. So along with the B-Wing, this is absolutely a great Star Wars model to pick up and to have a lot of fun with. Coming up next on the channel, we're going to do a lot of videos about the USS Grissom, the 350th scale Star Trek model that's coming out this winter as well. But thank you guys for watching this video about the Imperial Walker, and we'll be back soon.